So welcome everyone. My name is Nellie Leon. I am the Associate Director of Career Services here for the Career and Talent Development Office in the College of Engineering for our office located. Yep. By the food. Okay, awesome. Yeah, the Y'all Foods restaurant. Yeah, so we're on the second floor inside the EC campus. Right? In 2852. So if you ever have any questions, you can come see us. Thanks for checking in. If you are watching this session virtually, please scan your phone so you can go ahead and check in for the event today. Thanks for that. Make sure to put your FIU email address. And so this is a quick, just kind of get to know each other session today. And I'm just curious, this presentation is on preparing for graduates, right? So why are you here today? Is your interest in graduate school? You were told to come, tell us, why are you here today? And what's your interest, if so, with graduate?
So I'm the president of the zone, and so I decided that it would be like really nice to showcase this to other people, because I'm applying this cycle, and I know I've been having so much trouble finding out the resources and figuring out so many details. So I just said I want to learn too, and I also want to put it out there for it.
Thank you.
I don't know that's one from, so I can hear it.
Well, thank you everyone for sharing. Just so you know, I went to practice school. I did my master's in higher education. And so when I was updating the slides for this presentation, I was like, I would have preparing. Learn it on my own. There are some questions I may not be able to answer today, but there are some questions I can answer today. So I would recommend if you have any questions after this, and I'm like, oh no, you need to come see me, or I can refer you to who the contact is, let me know. So with that said, what are we going to talk about today? It's really looking at the intentions of graduate school. Why? Right? We all have different reasons why we want to go to graduate school or why we're thinking about it. Really understanding the purpose of graduate school, the types of degrees, looking at the timeline. I meet so many students, and this happens to me too in my career at graduation, undergraduate. Nobody was there to guide me to tell me, hey, these are options you can do with graduate school, and then how it can help your career. And so after it was 2 years of being graduated from my undergrad is when I decided to go back to graduate school. We'll share a little bit about that. But also looking at the application materials, right? It's not like you say right now, hey, I want to go to graduate school in January. It doesn't really work that way. Because the timeline, then the application. Money is a big thing, right? But how do you pay for it? And the understanding of how you resources that can help you. So what is your why? We always talk about this at work, meaning here, how we service our students. What is your why in terms of going to graduate school, right? And so it's important to be asking yourself questions of, are you thinking of graduate school? Well, actually, I'm going to ask you, why are you going to get more money? Why are you thinking? Why are you doing the 4+1? Why are you thinking of graduate school? But why did you decide to apply for the program with 1+1?
Because maybe they see better when you have like master instead of you just have like the bachelor.
Career mobility.
Feel like I just like school in general, so I feel like that academic side.
Lifelong learner. How are you? Going into the specific niche area. Okay, so those are your whys. My why was because I used to be really involved as an undergraduate. I was an RA and education and all that. And I graduated and I went to work in the private sector. Here's something else. I love being working in a university. I love helping students. So my why to go back was because in order for me to be able to work in the university and do the type of work that I do, the job descriptions required a master's. They required a master's in higher ed or student affairs or social work. And so that's what I needed. I needed a master's to be able to advise people, right? To do development, program development, all these things. So we all have our different reasons why. You're already in your 4+1, but your master's level, PhD level, graduate school, it's different from your undergrad. In terms of how it looks like when you go to graduate school, sometimes it's cohort based. I used to advise in SIPA, there for 6.5 years, advising a lot of graduate programs. So sometimes graduate programs, discipline wise, not just SIPA, engineering, technology, etc. Those master programs can be cohort based. I don't know if yours is. Cohort means the class that you start with, the peers that you start with, that's when you end up graduating. It's not like you're going to be in a large auditorium with 500 people in your classes, and 100 or even 500. These are like this type of intimate setting where there's going to be 10 people, sometimes there's 7 or 5, sometimes maybe 20, 30, maybe, especially like for those MBAs, right? Most popular trends. The graduate programs, like it was for me, it was tied in with the career readiness part. So my classes, in my program, I was required to do a practicum related to the courses I was related to my program. So normally, graduate programs are very career based. What else is there? I studied the intensity of studying for exams, for presentations. I remember one of my professors, she was the chair for the program, and in just a short amount of time, within a week, 2 weeks, he wanted us pretty much to read like a whole book. We were like, wait a second, we have a classes, like the intensity of how you're studying, what they ask us in terms of exams, case studies, presentation. It's pretty intense. And I was working 30 hours a week as a graduate assistant because the graduate assistant job that I got came from my appointment for the next program. So I didn't pay tuition for my 2 years at my private university. We'll talk about funding. That's funding. But so just know that if you're looking to go into graduate school, it's a different pace than the expectations are higher, it's more intense. Usually you're working or you have a family, you have commitments. So keep that in mind, right, of how you're going. And it allows for networking. Of course, with your professors right now, undergraduates, and you're doing the 4+1, you talk to professors, they know people. But usually in your master's program, when I went to talk to what I've seen with master classes I've doing work with, that many of the students, they're all different ages. Some of them just graduated from undergrad. Some of them have been working for years in their field. So the diversity of the people in the class in your program allows for ease of networking as well, because some of them are already working in the field. They're just going there because they want more money, the mobility, right? So I think that for me, I know graduate school, what I've observed is that it allows for more ease of networking because it's so much more intimate. And if you have questions, feel free to ask questions. Usually it's not like based on electives either. Like now it's undergrads, you can pick electives, you have a certain amount of electives. The graduate programs, they're like rigorous in terms of the type of classes that you have to take. You might have some wiggle room to say, oh, I don't want to take this class, I want this class, but normally they're pretty much set in stone. So you don't have much mobility for like picking whatever you want. Again, going kind of back to the why of graduate school, it is an investment. It's going to cost money, and not just that, it's going to cost you time. I can tell you, in my opinion, for me, it has been one of the best education investments because it got my foot in the door. I've been in my career now for like almost 20 years. So for me, it has been a huge investment. It gives you credibility too, right? The credentials. Think about in terms of what will this degree allow you to do that you can't already with the bachelor's. So again, in my case, it was I needed to get the master's to get into the career field. What with your bachelor's right now that you can do that you think will help you with the master's? I mean, it's statistically proven upward mobility with global salary. It does help you bring an increase in salary wages. It allows for the mobility in terms of the program pathway, right? To move further, whether into management or supervisory levels, but not even that, it's just expand the opportunity. And I've kind of already mentioned, right, the time investment. There are some programs, like the one that I used to present in, gosh, every week, every other week. They only went Tuesdays in the evening, so everybody was like rushing from work to get to the class. And it was online during COVID. And then there's also your online of that. But then Saturday, the students were in class all day. I know this because I would have to go into class from 9 to 12. They take a quick break and then they go back from 1 to 4. So you have programs that allow for, if you're working full-time, that allow for you to be able to go to class on a Saturday or Sunday or online. But there are some programs that may not allow for that flexibility. So have you done right now for and then
I was thinking about like when you take time only to listen down, but I feel like the best way to graduate school is that because you're fresh, the mind is fresh.
I want to know if I think the right. And I think that you only know that when you go in the job. And maybe I might get a master in life when I go to the industry. That's what I want to do. I realized, oh, I did not get the right master. I get this better. So, but at the same time, I think that going right after that is time to make money. Once you get master, you can go in the field at a higher level. You can enter the field at a higher level.
I want to go right after undergrad. If I take courses, I can get used to a course. I just can't do it. Like I just get used to not doing everything and not hard to.
There's no right or wrong. I went after 2 years. So there's no wrong or right. But do know that, you know, you decide to go right after graduate school, yeah, you're right. You don't lose that momentum. And the other thing too is, think about it. If you maybe take a break, if you decide to go later, things happen. What do you mean things happening? Like you meet somebody, maybe you decide to have a family, maybe you start working right away. Now things start happening. You're like, oh my gosh, when am I going to find time to go to graduate? That's one. In my case scenario, it was 2 years, and I was itching to go back. I remember I worked at the private sector. Hated the job that I had. I was working for a hotel. Each time I would pass and drive by a university, I would be like, I need to be, you know, like the soul, everyone's hobby. And yeah, 2 years afterwards, and for me, in my case, it did some soul searching, right? So it was good that I waited because I was like, I knew at that point what I wanted to do. So, you know, there's no right or wrong. It's just thinking of what is going to be the best for you. Another thing to look at is if you decide to take time off and you decide to go work. Many companies, if you said you're biomed, what are the other factors there? Oh, you're on biomed.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. The companies will hire you. You know, right now we're on a job market that's pretty high. Companies, when you're interviewing, you would ask them, what are their benefits? Because you have companies that will pay your master's degree if it's aligned with your career. That's a benefit. If you're working full time and that's a benefit of the company, just like I did, I was like, you know what? I took the GRE, I applied for graduate school, and then I was like, you know, and I left my job. It all happened at the same time, and I said, okay, now I gotta look for a job. I don't have money to pay graduate school, and I don't want the loans. And so I was doing research, and I was like, oh, Barry University, right then my graduate work, they were hiring graduates. And it was public information, right? The information was posted, and I'm like, so if I got the job, they would pay my tuition. I got the job. For 2 years, I was a graduate assistant and tuition paid at a private university. So, you know, it's all about you and your journey where you are. Again, there's just no black or white about it, you know, and it's okay to decide to take time off before you start. I always tell students, yes, the graduate school programs, reach out, get information, talk to the admissions recruiter, so do your so that you can support. Was this helpful? Okay. Oh, and another thing, your professions, right? Your biomed. Stay with biomed or decide to go to medical school. Start reading job descriptions. If you need help, so we can look at and say, what are the requirements? What are preferred? What are desired? Do you really need a master's? Do you need a doctorate? Or what your you know, the career paths are. Start looking at the types of degrees. So not only a master's of science, master's of arts, master's of business administration. You've got specialist degrees. There's then your professional degrees, those Juris Doctorate, right? Medical doctorate. They mentioned medical school. The highest degree possible, the doctoral studies, right? So just know that for those of you that are lifelong learners here, and I know a few of you, the possibilities are endless. You can look at two of these PhD degrees if you can afford it, if your company can pay for it. So it's really important to look at, you know, also that as you attain that I know, she just got her doctoral degree about 2 years ago. She quit her job. Been working in the field for lots and lots of years and started her own company, right? I have another colleague, she got her doctorate degree, she's working full time like I am, because I love it. So your advanced degrees also opens up the path of opportunity for you. Where you are now in your life is going to be different in 5 years, and 10 years, and 20 years. So that investment that I talk about is an investment. Because what if you decide to get tired of working in 15 years, and you're like, oh, I'm done with this. You have other opportunities to teach, consult, to start your own businesses, to work for federal government and do research, to work in the United Nations. There's a lot of opportunities for biomed, or just in general for any of the degrees. It's important that when you're looking at graduate school programs, so it's whether it's here at FIU or it's other universities, that the programs are accredited. So just make sure, go on the website, make sure they're accredited. And the other thing is that you want to continue, if you want to do a little bit more research to make sure and see who is accredited, you can go on that list as well. I don't know if you know, we just had graduate school fair the past 2 days. So we had graduate school fair at MMC in person, and we had the virtual fair yesterday. And I know that I think Biomed was having something with graduates. Was it biomedical? Or one of the programs here in engineering was doing a graduate fair. Oh, it was electrical mechanical. So if you're looking at biomedical, and you're like, I don't even know where to begin, you can reach out to me. I can direct you to also, not only here at FIU, but directing you to resources beyond FIU. I didn't bring it with me, but you can email me. You'll have my email address. I have a, like 3 I'm talking about here, but it's laid out a little different. And the last page has a whole bunch of resources where to find programs and other grad school resources. Before you're deciding also to go to graduate school, I would say talk to people. Talk to your professors. Talk to recruiters that are coming to hire students. Talk to us in the career office. Talk to the admission recruiters. Even if you're like, I'm not interested in coming to FIU for a master's, I want to go somewhere else. Talk to all these contacts to help you get a bigger picture of where it is, what program it is you want, what you don't want, etc. Do a list of pros and cons. How many of your follow professional associations? I know you're in the student organization, but professionals for biomed. Like IEEE, yes. So there's, and if you need like help, like the biomedical engineer association, you can reach out to us in the office. We can give you resources how to find them. So many times the professionals have a listing for like professionals. And so they have resources, maybe for mentors or find out additional information on continuing your education. So just something, you know, places to look for information in terms of making it more important. Okay, so now we're going to go into reflecting and the research. So once you decide to make a decision of going to graduate school, right? Now you're gonna start planning that, looking at the timelines. What are the dates for applications? Does the program that you're applying to, does it require a GMAT, a GRE? What's the entrance? It's not required. When I was at HIPAA, we had the Masters of Global Affairs program, 2-year program, COVID days. And the admissions recruiter for the program was across from my office. And we had several of them. They would bring me over the prospective students asking about the program because the prospective students that were interested in the Masters of Global Affairs were also asking questions about the job. So if I get this master's degree, where can I get a job? Why should I be, what's the need for me if I get the master's degree? Or the company's hiring? It happens like once a month, once every 2 months, I was constantly talking to prospective students. And I had a flyer. I was like, okay, this is the career guide, this is what our master's program students, this is the job, the skill sets you'll learn and all that. So I would encourage you, as you're interviewing for graduate programs, that you ask the recruiters. I'd also like to talk to maybe who's the person in the career office that can tell me a little bit more about how this advancement could work out. Can I talk to the faculty that teach in the program? Because the faculty that teach in the program, they are credentialed, but they should know people in the field. They should have contacts too. And so you want to get a good understanding of what are the faculty like that teach the program? What are the styles, right?
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know why, I don't know how they find it in the bus.
So those are questions you're gonna want to ask in terms of academic advice. The program, if you're interested in pre-med, whether it's here at FIU or a different university, talk to the admissions officers, the recruiters to find out what is the requirements. Create an Excel file or find an app or Word document, somehow write out and start listing the graduate programs you're interested in. Write it into the website. What are the universities? Locations. How many of you are thinking of leaving Florida for your graduate program? Or how many of you just want to stay in South Florida? Or how many of you just want to do it remotely? There's options. So these are things to consider, right? Are you willing to leave? Are you looking for remote programs? Are you willing to stay in the area? Then so, like in my situation, I had just gotten married when I had graduated from my bachelor's. I just bought a house. That's many months ago, right before all these economic depressions and all this stuff. And so my husband had a really good paying job, and I was like, okay, I quit my job, I started my graduate assistant, which is paying my tuition basically. I don't have many choices of where the house was located or where I could go to school. There was like 4 universities, including private and public, and I was going to have to commute. And so when I made the decision, there was only really one university that offered the program, and they had been for a few years. The program had been. So I didn't really have much of a choice to go somewhere else. So you kind of look at it again, right? What is it in your life right now, or it will be in the next few years of how your decision is going to influence them. You're in the club, which is good. So utilize the club membership, the executive membership. Many times they bring companies to meet with the clubs, or they drag you out to career fairs or what it is. So leverage that information that is taught here in your student organization to make a more informed decision. Planning. So the cycle is usually about a year. If you're lucky, I've seen it done in like 6 months, 5 months. But if you're interested in graduate school, you've got to do the research and then start identifying, okay, what are the programs that you're interested in? What are the universities you're interested in that have the program? And then start identifying applications. Right? Start identifying, listing application deadlines, making appointments with the admissions recruiters. Questions about the program, what does that look like, what costs, what are all these things. Are you going to need an exam, right? Standardized exam or the GRE, GMAT, whatever it is. Then, or in my case, I needed a GRE. I had been out of school right for 2 years. When I decided to make my move to go back to school, this was like in September. I took the GRE. I don't remember taking the GRE like in November. No, backtrack. No, it was further before. It was a year out because I started my program in May. I remember talking to the department chair or the chair of the program. And I think they have taken them to GRE around August. Well, I can tell you it took about a year between the time I had to then apply for the program, getting back to the scores, all that. It was a whole time. Oh, and I remember I had to get letters of recommendation too. We had an hour of so then I needed a recommendation letter. So that was time. So, making sure, and these like within a month, 2 months, letters, so they were sent to you. I had to reach my professors from my graduated. And so these folks still had the in their contact or email. Also, if you're thinking about graduate school, what held in my favor were not the charity scores. My scores were terrible. But I've had at least a 3.0 GPA. I was really involved during my bachelor's degree. I had been working for 2 years. And so they actually, when I remember talking to the department chair about my application, she was like, yeah, your GRE scores are really low, but we looked at your grades, we looked at your involvement during my. And that's what gave me the vote to get into grad. So it does help to be in a club. It helps if you're going to conferences and presenting at conferences, if you're put your academic projects like your senior design projects on your resume. All that volunteering, all of that will help you. It'll give you the edge. So here's an example of what the timeline looks like. I'm not going to go into it in detail. But in October. So I would say before you graduate, I hear some of the goals might be to go right after you graduate. So once you graduate,
Graduate hopefully on July, around July.
oh, okay, like in 7 months. So yeah, so if you're looking to graduate, then you're right now, this is where you're at in terms of your graduate. But has to like start researching. You probably may have already started researching, I don't know, but you've got to look at the standardized text, what you need. Start applying for graduate school, looking at seeing when the applications, not only, yes, to start graduate school are those deadlines. Oh, remember, we got to submit official transcripts too. Forget about it. Yeah, the letters of recommendation, your resume or CV they want. Transcripts. A personal mission statement. I would have several the prospective students say to me, "Oh, can I review my personal mission statement?" Well, because they were FIU students, undergrads already, it would be like, yeah, I can review it. Because they were going into the master's at FIU. Or if they were going into a master's somewhere else, I would review it. So take some planning, take some writing. Again, use an Excel file or an app that's going to help you stay organized. These are just sampling of what, in terms of, what to add to that file. We're going to talk briefly about the tuition too, and like financial support. If you're looking of leaving South Florida to do a program, you've got to look at the program and where it is located. Because if you're looking at New York City, Well, how are you gonna live there? Are you gonna have a job? Do you have somebody that you're gonna stay with? Like, how are you gonna pay for it? So several things to consider. This is just in terms of narrowing your search. I really want to get to the financial aid piece of it, but strategy-wise, I would say I was telling students think beyond the wall. Like, what is your dream? So even with with advising students with career search, I'm like, what is the dream? If you can, you didn't think about walls or barriers, financials, money, what is the dream that you have? So ideally, as you're writing the list of schools you go to, create your list by the target schools, like these are the dream schools. Doesn't matter what your scores are, your age, your GPA, none of that. What's the dream school, the dream program? Then identify, reach schools. That's what it is. Yeah, it's the reach schools first. Then look at the target schools. Okay, which one that you've got a chance of getting? Or at least, the median is like 75% off. Get it. Take a couple schools, 2 or 3, and then the basic that you're like, I'm getting. So have have the dream school where you think you can, and then where you can definitely get it. So that's important. For me, I just had one school. Thank goodness I got in. Under my circumstances, I wasn't like I could look at other universities for programs. So this is important to, also look at. Personal statement. Have any of you written a personal statement before? So a personal statement is not the easiest thing to do if you're talking about yourself. If you have any questions, if you need guidance, you can reach out to our office. We can give you like guidelines of how to write the personal statement. I always guide students based on what the application instructions tell you they want on the personal statement, and you follow them. Usually they give you a paragraph with explanation statements that include that you why do you want to go to graduate school? What are your career aspirations? How will your experience benefit going to doing this master's? And you're selling yourself in the personal mission statement too, as why they need to hire you to get into graduate. Yes. Yeah, it's similar. I sat on a fellowship. It's basically a personal mission. Have a proofread. Have one of your faculty, supervisors, you can for academic advising, you can come to excellence writing, he has a career office. And yes, again, just be clear. And I tell students, in your writing, you can see the enthusiasm. Listen and hear the energy. So when you're writing, make sure to show that, express that energy of why. And it's okay to share your personal story. Did you have a hardship? Was there a moment in your life when you were young that you're like, this is what I want to do, this is the calling that I have, or the passion? So I tell students, it's okay to dig deep and be a little personal to showcase the why. Mentioned the entrance exams, because then you have to prepare too for the entrance exams, whether against GRE or GMAT or whatever is needed from you. And they're not easy. I'm not a test taker, so preparing if you have to go to a prep to help you get the better scores, you do what you need to do, right? And there's a cost. None of this is free. There's a cost for applications, unless they waive it. I know that graduate program in SIPA, sometimes they would waive the fees, but there's always fees. I don't, that I know of, it was through the College of Business that had a GRE like prep and you had to pay for it. This is when I checked a couple years ago. So I don't know if that has changed. And I don't know if you have heard anything.
But not for all the masters.
Right, right. And even doctoral, because I remember getting an email a year ago that they were waiving the GRE for the doctoral, not all programs. It was for certain doctoral programs, they were waiving the GRE for it. But that was during COVID. So I would check and hurry up because, yeah, you might be having to do it again. But there's some programs they require it and some programs that don't. Letters of recommendation, like I had briefly mentioned, don't ask your best friend Pepito down the street to write your letter of recommendation. It's very important right now that you're taking classes that you're talking to your professors. Talk to the professor, all of them, but the ones where you're getting A's, where they know your name, or you need to make sure they know who you are, those are the professors that you want to make sure can speak positively on behalf of you for a letter of recommendation. And don't be asking the professor the day before the deadline for application that you need a recommendation letter. Give them at least 2 months, 3 months, a month notice. Yeah. It's okay. Yes. Oh, yes. And see what their requirements are for recommendation letters. They might say you need one professor and a supervisor. So just make sure you clearly find out what is the recommendation letter, who they're needing it from. And let them know what you're applying to before you ask them for the recommendation letter. Say, Dr. Professor, blah, 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 I'm applying for this program at wherever it is, UF, and I would like to request a recommendation letter from you. Here's my resume enclosed. I was in your ECT, whatever class at, FIU spring semester. So remind them who you are also. Funding, this is what I want to get to. Okay, so there's several ways to fund money for your program. So, that's one of them. So I'm, applying for federal loans, for private loans. Then there's scholarships and grants. So you're gonna find out from academic work, from the academic work, from the graduate school recruiter, what scholarships are available. I remember at the orientations and both not orientations, but the master's program, students expected to going back to scholarships available. How can you get funding if you don't have enough? About scholarships and grants. Either the university where you're applying to, the admissions with the or that information. So my master's degree. There's also fellowship. Lots of fellowship opportunities. Yeah, there's lots of fellowship opportunities. But you want to be specific in terms of the fellowships for your area. Sometimes the fellowship you have to work in, like for example, there's right now the U.S. Department of State has a fellowship I think for ICE. It's U.S. Department of State, U.S. Federal, U.S. Citizen don't want for it, but guess what? The fellowship needs graduates. But not all fellowships are federal government. So when you see emails coming from an office, going to handshake, going to professional procedures, give their scholarships. to see if, there's money to help pay for your schooling. And then employers was the other thing. That where you're maybe planning to go work or you're networking to find out from companies that hire you, you want to ask them see if they have tuition. So I work at the last two universities I worked at. When I worked at UNR, at University of Nevada in Reno, my husband got to finish his bachelor's degree as a dependent on mine. And then when he started, he works at a different university now. So at his other university, he did his master's paid by the university. So check and see if the companies where you're applying to, where you plan to work, if they have tuition reimbursement programs. So these are ways to consider affording graduate school. Resources. So here's a few FIU resources to consider if you're thinking about graduate programs here at FIU. Is UGS, and there's a team. I do have the contact information. I don't remember their name now, unless you already know who they are. That you can ask about the graduate program here at FIU.
I am one of the mentors.
Oh, you are?
We have all these.
Yes. Yes. So I have a slide, and I went on the website today. So we'll look at that. So McNair's Scholars Program, August of Scholarship, FIU Academic Work, conference, we can direct you to other resources. High school student organizations, you're hosting the session today, so that's awesome. So there's financial aid, speaking with your financial aid officer also. What are the additional financial resources available to you? The McNair Scholars Program is for low-income first-generation students. So if you fall within that piece of it, if you Google, literally Google McNair Scholars Program, it takes you to all the universities. You click on FIU and it's from McNair's program. Yeah, this is the McNair's program. It says here for doctoral studies, but is it for master's as well? Okay, awesome. There's this program too. I'm not very familiar with this one. Through the Bridge program to prepare for FIU admission into PhD programs. Are any of you interested in doctoral studies? Well, my lifelong learners, maybe. So you may want to find out. I put the email, the website, and the link there to see what other additional opportunities you might find if you're interested also in doctoral studies. Oh, big part of this. So in addition to applying for graduate school, many times you have to have an interview with them. So our office, like today, I'm doing a presentation, but if you need help with just practicing interviewing skills, not only for graduate school, applying for graduate school, but going, applying for jobs, resource for you, or need general career coaching, ideas, and then we've got for graduate school first. We have a lot of resources. Oh, good. The link, the slide is here. Here's just additional websites for the, where to find additional programs, financial help, those standardized exams that you would need for entrance exams and help also like on the timeline. If you want, I can email you the PDF. Or you can email me individually and I can send you the 3-pager. That's also really helpful. You've all checked in already. And if you didn't check in, whoever's here virtually, please make sure to check in. And how many of you received our email? But we've been really busy this semester. You probably haven't seen colorful signs on the walls, like free food. There will be a few more of those. Next week we have L. So if you're looking at how to practice your elevator pitch, and how to tell your elevator pitch, and interview people, tell me about yourself, how to answer that. Well, they'll start practicing that with you. Student or shows up, and you're bringing free food. So that comes 2:30 to 4. Next up, but we also have additional workshops, and you can also find these in Handshake. Believe it or not, Dell hires engineer majors. I'm talking about like civil, bio, mechanical, industrial. It's not just IT. That's why they wanted to come to campus here to talk to the students. So I wanted to just share that. This is our lineup. You can find this in Handshake as well, all the different events we're hosting. So if you're interested in LinkedIn headshots, yeah, if you're looking to apply for graduate school, you might look at your LinkedIn profile. So we offer all these types of things. Any questions? Yes. I'm going to go ahead and stop share for a moment. No, I don't want to. Hold on. Let me see if I'm going to open it. Oh.
And I would like to, I'm thinking about the 1+1 program because you know you save time and you save money too. But things that what if I want to do a digital master? Can I do that here for you?
Not you would be tied to only the masters that they offer here at the College of Engineering. But if you wanted to do a master's in a whole different discipline, yeah, so I would recommend, there's a whole team, and it's not, I can never find it here through the regular website. I have their contact information. I have 3 names or 4 names. So if you, what you can do is I'll refer you to my, revert you to the presentation, to my email address, so that you can reach out to me and I can email you their contact information. Usually what happens is if this wants to open, it doesn't want to open. Here, there's my contact information. Usually what happens is whatever programs are set, that's what we own. As I understand, that's what's set in stone. So, if you're like, oh, that's not what I want to do, you're gonna have to make a decision of looking at programs outside.
Yeah, then
Yeah. Send me an email, Tina, Leah, was that for the graduate school presentation? You asked me if I can send you the graduate school contacts or here. I have their emails and their names. Every time I go online to the website, I can't like find some reason their graduate school contacts, but I have their names. Yeah. Yeah, and you might have to make a decision. You're like, this is all the only choice they have. You have to make a decision of where. That's, you know, that's the thing. When you've got specialized masters like that, not all the schools put into the things or the colleges, you know, have them. So it's just, yeah, I feel your pain because I know when I was applying to graduate school, I was actually hoping to come to FIU for my master's, but FIU was just starting their program because I called them and I was like, I can't do my master's at a school that's just starting their program. Like I need for that program to have been established for a few years. So FIU was not a choice for me. Now, if I were to do my master's again, the same master's, they've had the master's for years here. It's actually a really good program. But it's just sometimes it takes time and you don't have the time. You're like, I need to start now. So, good questions. Any other questions? Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.